Hi, I'm doing a little bit of advanced preparation for uh, recording a hopefully interesting live stream. I haven't so far succeeded in getting a live stream going, but we'll see how we go. The overview of my book, the first of my books, which I'm putting up for purchase at cost, is really a long journey through the fifth, sixth to the first, but not really including the pre-dynastic period. Maybe the archaic period, but not the pre-dynastic period. I've covered the pre-dynastic period, showing that you could, in a limited sense, you could call it the patriarchal age. In other words, I'm granting to pre-dynasticism in Egypt a life, an intervention, etc., with the patriarchs in Mesopotamia, but I'm also trying to rationalize the geology of Egypt, Middle East, Mesopotamia, as I understand it, and that is a sort of geology in the context of everyday years. In other words, what we might say, everyday years are years which the actual, I don't know what you'd call it, the actual time has been adjusted to allow radiometric measurements to be rationalized into a pretty clear time frame based on our own understanding, our current understanding today of what constitutes a day, what constitutes a month, what constitutes a year, etc. So what I'm really saying is that what I've tried to do with the pre-dynasticism is to look at it as a flood to dynastic Egypt, or if you want, archaic Egypt, however you want to, I don't really, whatever it is that you want to do with that. What I'm getting at is that pre-dynasticism is is, in my view, limited to post-flood. It doesn't mean that the flood itself was the beginning of everything, because clearly there was something happening before. Geology all shows us that up until, roughly, and I don't want to get too specific here, but roughly the Ediacaran, or the sort of snowball earthy, that sort of period of time, which is itself contentious. But what I'd like to picture to you is that we have a reasonably, a very solid date for the flood. in terms of how we view time today. And that date, if you go from that date to the time when the geology of the Earth radically changed. In other words, we had a very low period of magnetic strength due to the electrodynamo in the Earth, if such a thing exists, but we're working on the theory that there is some sort of electrodynamo working there. That dynamo had run down to a certain degree, and that you had this period of the megafauna, and you had the period of the incredibly long-necked dinosaurs and all these sort of things. So those things, in one sense, were all brought to an end when an asteroid came through. Now, if we postulate that the magnetic field was already getting low when the asteroid came in, then there's not a lot of resistance, in one sense, to the asteroid hitting the Earth. In other words, it hits the Earth it was a shocking whack, and it just broke up the mid-Atlantic, and the ridge formed, and then everything moved west and east, etc. And you've got this ocean, an Atlantic Ocean. That's interesting. And Australia and India and Africa, etc., all floating all over the place. And then here is Australia sitting out in the middle of nowhere, and India's banged up into the Eurasia, and we've just got this whole pattern of geologic change, which I explain in terms of the impact of this 25 kilometre wide asteroid, which didn't break up. It hit as 25 kilometres wide, so it was a real thump, and it allowed tsunamis to flow all over the place, and up north, Antarctica, every which way. It was a really big hit, and that seems to have set in motion a whole pattern of almost stabilization, if you like. In other words, the dinosaurs get knocked out, the megafauna gets knocked out. There's a lifting of and lowering of the land surface. There's a lot of the Cretaceous sort of appears after this time. So we've got all sorts of interesting things happening, and you have got you have to take a view of this. Like, it's hard to really get this across. You have to view this as all taking place in the context of a short, actual, as we understand it, period of time, and we're projecting now that there's never been billions of ordinary years. So anyway, that's where we go at this point.